live, having a good time, hanging out. Got my man Chaz Smith, and how you can be an influencer, following your burden, and kind of his story recently of some things that the guy's been putting on his heart and how he's been engaging in that. So don't you go anywhere, we got to drop the intro one time.
I don't need nothing else. Every time I'm with you, yo, it's something else. It's a fact, and it's nothing else. Got your hand out, you don't even need a help. Ooh, I don't need nothing else. Every time I'm with you, yo, it's something else. It's a fact, and it's nothing else. Got your hand out, you don't even need a help. Ooh, that's right. I don't need nothing else. That's right.
What's going on? It's Ruslan with KingsDreamENT.com. This channel exists to encourage, empower, inspire you to live out God's dream for your life. Today, we're doing a special live with a special guest, my man Chaz Smith.
What's up?
Originally from the East Coast, Jersey area, now way of Los Angeles.
Yes, I'm an LA immigrant.
We have not been practicing social distancing, but that is because
What's that?
Chaz,
Are you gonna blame it on me?
Chaz found out he was COVID-19 negative. Okay?
I got tested.
He got tested.
Good.
We want you guys to know that. We have the most talented, incredible online community in the universe, our Patreon community. They're here with us live. They're going to be hopping in a little later, asking a few questions. We've had a blast the past couple days hanging out, working on some music stuff. And yeah, man. So look, Chaz, for people that may not know who you are, can you just kind of introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, so my name's Chaz Smith. I make videos on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Can't believe I'm actually saying that. Never thought I would. But originally Vine, like if y'all know what they are, I'll name some of them, like the Water's Not Wet video, Watermelon, pronouncing things incorrectly, like the NBA and Avengers, if y'all seen any of those videos. Yeah, and now I'm transitioning into doing some different things creatively, like starting a podcast soon, live streaming on Twitch just for fun, diving into making music a little bit, taking that seriously, and just having fun with it. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up, I'd say.
One of the things that, like you said, most people remember you probably initially from Vine. Yeah. That's how you got your start, was Vine, and then YouTube, Instagram, right? I don't know how many followers you got, but millions across all platforms combined, right?
About a few, yeah.
About a few million. But what got you on, which was comedy, isn't necessarily where you're at right now as a creative.
Yeah.
Which to me is the most inspiring thing, because I'm seeing so many people level up. I'm seeing so many people start in one niche, start doing one thing, and then all of a sudden they evolve or something happens and they just instinctively speak up.
Right.
And then that opens up a whole nother world and a whole nother set of opportunities. So can you kind of just share on we all kind of recently happened, but like just share what recently happened and how you've, are really making some cool videos that we could talk about here in a second.
Yeah, so it's actually the original reason why I hopped on social media in the first place was because I wanted to have serious conversations about just racism.
That was the original reason you got on?
Not just like a bunch of different topics that people tend to feel uncomfortable talking about, like racism, sexual assault, pornography, whatever, anything you can think of that people are just kind of like shy away from, feel uncomfortable about, because I wanted to be somebody who could, I guess, bridge the gap between parents and their kids, bring conversations to the table that people just tend to shy away from or sweep under the rug, and do it in a lighthearted way while still getting to the heart of the topic and being able to help shift people's perspectives, open minds, and just bring joy to them while I'm doing it too. So I decided to start a YouTube channel 7 years ago. Matter of fact, pretty much like right around this time, 7 years ago.
Wow.
And that, because I wanted to start talking about those things. Then I hopped on Vine just for fun, ended up taking off. And that was what gave me the platform that I've always wanted to be able to share these things. So it's kind of like just full circle. This is where I wanted to, this is the direction I wanted to be heading in the first place. Still being able to make people laugh and smile and bring joy, but also getting talking straight up to people. And like a couple videos I made recently about just this, I guess, mass awakening of people becoming aware of privilege and racism in America. A couple videos I made recently, one of them was 3 things that white people can do to help fight racism and be an ally.
Yeah.
And another video is about just in the midst of seeing all this chaos on Twitter and Instagram, and that's finally being exposed as it should be. It can be so easy to take on the full weight of all those emotions and feel like there's so much that needs to be done and think you're not doing enough, or feeling like you're not sad enough, and just feel so burdened by so much. And so the second video is basically me saying, it's not your job to be burdened with everything. You can't move the entire, like if you're moving from one house to another, you can't place every single thing in one box.
Right.
And if we think of ourselves as like a single box, we gotta recognize, okay, what am I supposed to be carrying in this moment? How can I be of assistance? I'm not just gonna sit back and do nothing, but recognizing, all right, what is my responsibility here? It could be, and thinking of that moment to moment, even like for white people who are watching, okay, how can I talk to my family members about it when they might bring something up that's not exactly, politically correct or respectful, and help shift their perspectives in a loving way? Or what organizations can I donate to? How can I help out at protests? What can I do to just be of assistance or support people? Things like that. So yeah, I started off wanting to do this.
Yeah.
Comedy built the platform, and now I'm like at a level where I can reach far more people than I could if I were to only have done this.
Okay, so first of all, that is dope, because I didn't know you initially started with that intent. So that just goes to show, and we talk about this all the time in the Patreon. There's a couple guys in the Patreon. Everybody wants a platform to talk about what they want to talk about,
right,
but not everybody's willing to be helpful and add value first.
Yeah.
And being helpful and adding value, I know we hear that from a guy like Gary Vee, and we think that that's what
Gary Vee.
that's what everybody thinks, right? But the reality is that being helpful for you was just creating humor, making people laugh, almost a bit of escapism, which then helped you develop the platform to talk about the things you're actually very passionate about. And I think a lot of people miss that. They just want to be known, they want to be famous, they want to have a bunch of followers. They're not willing to put in the work to be helpful in some other way outside of whatever thing they start out with. So I just really want to drive that point home, because so many of us just want to be famous because we just want to be famous.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, I don't know, you correct me if you think I'm wrong, I feel like now with TikTok, it's actually easier to go viral and get discovered than it was when you started and you just had YouTube and Vine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where Vine was a discovery app similar, but I feel like TikTok is super duper fertile. And so everybody's trying to build their business, build their brand, but not everybody's trying to be helpful and make people smile, make people laugh, educate people in some way, shape, or form.
There's a couple things I want to bring up with that.
Yeah.
People think you've made it if you make a viral video, but I'm sure if we all just pause for a second and think about a video that really made us laugh within the past year or blew up recently, we don't think about that person anymore. It doesn't mean you made it.
That's good.
My heart was never to be famous just for the sake of being famous. Actually, when I remember being 12 or 13, actually praying to be famous, but not for my own sake, but because I wanted to be able to reach as many people as possible and just be a light to the world and share the gospel on just a massive scale. That's just my heart. That's that's not everybody's heart. That's not for everybody.
Right.
But also, I just want to really drive home, along with what you were saying. This is titled "How to Be an Influencer," and I want to just talk about the actual definition of influence.
Talk about that.
People think that an influencer is somebody with a large following. That is not true. I don't even like that word. First of all, I think it's just it's like
that word content. It's like that word content.
Yeah, and it's clickbait. You watch it because you're like, oh, I want to, it's clickbait. The real thing I want to talk about here is how to be an influence in your own community. Some of the most influential people in my life, don't nobody know about them.
Yep, 100%.
Jesus was famous, but he really honed in on just 12 people.
Right. It's good.
His disciples, that was the group of his influence, and nobody really knew them, and then they started to branch out and do their own thing. But you can, for example, your parents, those of us who are fortunate enough to grow up with both parents, or at least one who's just really loving, they were probably the most influential person in our life. Yeah. That's what influence is. And people want this glamour that comes with fame, or maybe there's some validation or recognition that comes with it, but that's not what it's about. It's really about recognizing where you can impact people's lives, maybe on a 1-to-1 scale, 1 to 2, just discipleship, you know, or not. It doesn't even have to be discipleship. Just where you can serve and how you can serve people. It's that's what influence really is all about. It's serving people and impacting their lives, however you can, moment by moment.
And coming out of something usually, right? It's very difficult to influence and lead if you haven't done and experienced. So that, I think, is another thing that most people are, they're trying to teach the master course on how to teach a master course without having done anything yet. You know what I mean? Like you first have to go through stuff, and then on the other side of that, you have this story. So all along, you have this vision, you build an audience, by just being funny and entertaining, and now you dropped, I don't know if there was a video before that, but the 3 things white people could do in terms of racism.
Yeah.
That was the first time I was like, oh wow, this is actually really helpful. And you talked about some really, really helpful stuff that I've shared the video, and then the box video. And so now it's like, now you got a thing coming out on YouTube with Roland Martin, like an official talk. Can you just give us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was a great opportunity. I think here's I was looking kind of short right there. Hold up, man. All right, there we go. So what was really cool about that is just to go back to this analogy about recognizing what being aware of what you're responsible for, or what God's placing on your heart.
Right.
A couple weeks ago, after just the George Floyd murder, I was feeling the weight of all that, and just feeling like depressed, like just, or confused, not even knowing how to process emotions.
Yeah.
And then I just decided to ask God, okay, Lord, what do you want me to be carrying right now? Because I can't carry all this. I was like, yo, that's not meant for one person.
Right.
And that not just for me, that goes for everybody. Like, what am I supposed to be doing?
Right.
And he reminded me of just what my calling is. I know it's to share his joy with people.
That's good.
Through media and entertainment. And so I realized, something I can do right now is not allow myself, I don't have to sit in these emotions. Like, we think that we are validated in our understanding of a situation or our empathy with somebody if we feel sad or the weight of what's going on. You know what I mean? I realized, like, that's not true.
Right.
That's not true. We should be aware of it, and it should hit home, but recognize, where do I not be led by emotions, but recognize, okay, I'm feeling this way. What can I do with it? So then, like, along with that, a bunch of friends started hitting me up, like white friends asking, Chaz, what can I do? I want to support. This is so crazy with all this going on.
You just got tired of replying to everybody, so I'm like, I'm just
and
gonna make a video for you fools, like, leave me
it was
alone.
both. I was like, part of it was like, part of it was like really just honestly not having the energy to have the same conversation. I already knew beforehand I'm not gonna want to have this conversation over and over.
Yeah.
So I was like, it'd be really, I think something that'd be really helpful, something that I can do, having the platform that I have, being able to steward it well, would be to make a video about this.
Yep.
And so, that ties back into this analogy of the box. And so, after making that video, I got hit up with another opportunity. There's gonna be, YouTube Originals is hosting there's gonna be starting at, I think, 6 o'clock tomorrow. There's sometime tomorrow, Saturday, excuse me, not tomorrow. They're having this big event on YouTube Originals where they're having a bunch of conversations with a bunch of celebrities, influencers, experts, like news broadcasters, just a bunch of people about racism in America, how to enact change and bring that about, and not just let this be a trend. And they asked me to be a part of it and speak on a panel with 2 really great, awesome dudes. One's a Harvard professor, another guy, Michael Skolnick, who has done a bunch of stuff in production, entertainment, and just as a leader, and it was hosted by Roland Martin, which I wasn't looking for an opportunity. I was just like, what can I do with what I have?
Right.
And something came out of that.
And that opportunity is probably going to even expand your audience.
Yeah, but I'm
bigger
not,
because it's a YouTube, like official YouTube thing on their front page. So I'm not saying you were looking for that, but I'm saying in you operating out of your burden, and out of you saying, I can't carry this, and really just like, I just don't want to keep having this conversation with all these people at the same time. And I made a video similar. I mean, mine was an hour long, and it was frequently asked questions, unhelpful responses to Black Lives Matter, and it was the same thing. It was like, I just got tired of responding to people one-on-one. I'm just gonna make one video, point people back to it, and the video does really good. And I think it's interesting that when we operate from our burdens, and we do the right thing, right? And I'll be honest, even the word white ally. Like, I don't even like that. Like, no, bro. Like, it's just doing the right thing. Like, you do the right thing. You support people who are going through it. That's what the right thing is. So I just did what I felt compelled. You did what you felt compelled, and that has now opened up to these other opportunities. That's probably even going to continue catapulting your audience, and then set you up to kind of make a more of a seamless transition into doing music and into doing these other things that aren't as light as the content was before all this happened.
Right. And even just with that, that's something that helps me continue to just keep creating content, because it's easy for me to think like, oh, YouTube originals, that's dope. Like that's gonna bring forth more opportunities, which it probably will. But I'm really just like what you said, it was the right thing to do. Sharing the other videos, what was on my heart, just did it. If nothing comes out of it, whatever, I'm just gonna be content with where I'm at now. I know that if I didn't have any followers at all, I'd still be an influencer, because I know the person who I am, it has nothing to do with my following or influence, and I'm just gonna continue to serve however I can with whoever is within my earshot, you know?
Right.
That doesn't make a difference about, I mean, like, yeah, it does, but on the outside, but inwardly, I'm still just Chaz.
Yep.
And I'm gonna continue to do the right thing. Whatever opportunities come, cool, I'll take them.
Yep. I love it.
But yeah.
Okay, well, let's go to our, see, it's empty though. Let's go to our amazing Patreon community. We got a couple folks that got questions. If you guys have questions, we're wrapping up now, but we're gonna go to some of them. You guys can call in through the Patreon. It's posted. It's the top link right now. And my brother Johan, all the way from.
Hey, bro, your curl pattern is dope.
Go ahead, Johan. You are live,
Just
bro.
wanted to say that real quick.
You gotta unmute yourself, champ.
I'm mixed, so.
Alright.
That's what it is. So my question is, how do you know the difference between what you have potential to be good at and like what God's actually calling you to do? Like, how did you kind of know that was something God wanted you to do? Yeah. Or if it was just something that you're good at?
Okay. So. I love that question, because I feel like that's something that he's taking me through just right now in this season of my life. At the end of the year, or beginning of this year, I just asked God, what do you want me to be focused on right now? Because I feel like I'm not really sure what direction I'm going in or what I'm supposed to be doing. And he said abide, just abiding, right? That sounds like a pretty Christianese answer, but I was like, all right, what do you mean by that? Started to pray into it, just study scripture where he talks about abiding. John 15 talks about Jesus was talking about just being planted and rooted in him, remaining in his love. And I'm gonna get to the doing part, but the first thing, I guess, to answer your question, and I'll elaborate, is to just be with him first. That's the most important thing, just being. Because through being, he transforms our heart, renews our minds, and we can trust that the desires that are on our heart are from him. And in that, we also have community to let us know like where we're at, support us, help guide us steer us in the right direction, tell us if we're going off the right path. But just being in that place and just surrendering our will to him, we can trust that the things that remain on our heart are from him. Another passage that I like, the next passage I went to after John 15, you can study this for yourself, pray over it, please do that. But the next passage I went to after that was Psalm 1, where David talks about just being grounded in God's word. When you're grounded in his word, you meditate on it. When you just receive it and stay in that place and live it, then you're like a tree planted by a stream of water. Your leaf never withers. You bear fruit in due season. And then in all that you do, you prosper. So the first three parts of that are all about being. Being like a tree planted by a stream of water, just remaining rooted and firm in that ground, staying in that place. Second, bearing fruit in due season. The fruit flows from where you're rooted. Jesus is a true vine. God's our vine dresser. We're just the branches. Any fruit that we bear just is like a byproduct of him, but it starts with being in him. And the third thing is your leaf never withers. You don't grow weary. Like, we can get physically tired, we can get mentally tired, we can get emotionally tired. But if we're spiritually tired, then that means we're not acknowledging God and just remaining in his presence. That doesn't mean you constantly need to be in prayer and worshiping and reading the Bible all the time. It's just like praying without ceasing, acknowledging his presence throughout the day, knowing he's with us right now. Like, for example, Staying spiritually grounded in that, not allowing ourselves to get so caught up in distractions and pulled away from that state of being. And then it says, in all that you do, you prosper. And the way that hit me was like, God is so much more focused on us just being with him as his sons and daughters, just staying with him. And that what we do is really like, I don't know if for people who got kids here, like Ruslan's son, Levi, right? Levi is Ruslan's son. He stays with him, lives with him, and is under him. Ruslan expects him to be obedient and just abide in him, right? But he kind of just gives him the freedom to do what he wants within a certain set of boundaries. Ruslan's not telling him like, you have to exactly do this, you have to eat your food this way, you can only play with these toys right now, all right, I'm gonna tell you which toys to play with tomorrow. He just has freedom with what he's given. So recognize what you've been given, like where your talents are, where your heart is in the midst of being with him. And that is a marker or an arrow for, I guess, where you should be going. But understand you really do have the freedom to do what you want within God's boundaries. And the last thing I want to say, last scripture I want to pull up is, I always forget the reference. I want to say it's 2 Samuel 7:3 or 2 Chronicles 7:3. I can't remember. Something like that. But anyway, is when Nathan came to David, Nathan's prophet, and he tells him, do all that's in your heart, for God is with you. And when I read that, I was like, hold on. So all these things that I'm desiring to do, I have permission to?
Come on.
That's you're, like the green light is just because I'm with you. Like it's okay. I can do this, you know? And still apply that in context. Recognize like, I'm not just gonna go out here and be an astronaut or something. Like I could, but I don't think that would be the most beneficial with what he's placed within my, arena. I could pursue, but that's not even really on my heart,
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So I'd say, like those three scriptures, I'll say them again. John 15, Psalm 1, and then 2 Samuel 7:3, if I'm not mistaken.
It's 1 Chronicles 17:2.
Thank you. There's two of them. There's one in Chronicles and there's one in 2 Samuel. But yeah, that's definitely one of them. Yeah,
that's so dope.
Word.
That's mind-blowing, actually.
Yeah, man.
Word up. All right, we're going to go to Carlton.
Thank you.
He got a question for, bam. There you go, Carlton. You're live, buddy. Unmute yourself.
What's good, bro? What's good?
Chilling.
What up,
my
mate?
question is, like, about how do you deal with, like, for instance, for me, I don't have the same following around you, but I was not a social media guy, and I built like 280K within like 3 months of being on TikTok and things of the sort. And I posted a snippet talking about Black Lives Matters, a song, and it kind of got to attention of a big YouTuber named Lisa Koji, I believe, and she posted a video of it, and then now I'm getting like a bunch of messages asking me questions, and it's kind of overwhelming because I'm not like a big social media guy like that. So I'm just wondering, how do you deal with it, like mentally and spiritually, with like people with different viewpoints?
Yeah, that's tough. I think different people have different answers for you. I think it's important to recognize just your level of energy that you have at any given moment, because you don't want to burn yourself out trying to please everybody or respond to everybody. Like you got to consider. For me, honestly, I just don't respond to every message. Like I can't. That's too much. Don't feel like you have to respond to every single person. Jesus didn't go out and heal in certain towns, but he didn't preach the gospel to every single person that he was around. He wasn't performing miracles. Like, okay, here's an example. When he went to the pool of Bethesda, was it? He went there for one person. A lot of people came to him. Mad people were healed through his ministry while he was here, but he didn't speak to everybody. He went to who he was called to. He didn't even leave like Israel, So I guess in context to your question, let go of the idea that you think you need to answer every single person. Recognize that they can look elsewhere for help as well. You can give like a quick message and say like, hey, here's a great resource I know. You can go check this out. Or here's a person who's made some videos on this topic. You can go watch that. But like, it's impossible to pour yourself out for every single person,
It's good.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go to my man, Nate. Go ahead, boss.
My question is about like striking common ground when it comes to I guess, presenting something in front of people that might not be believers or familiar with the Gospels or anything like that.
Yeah.
To get them to that point, how far, I guess, or how far do you reach or draw the line of where you would strike common ground? You know what I mean? Like, how far or willing, I guess, would you be to be secular or not really change what you're doing? You know what I mean? But at least to get people to pay attention before you really bring them into what you want to talk about.
Are you talking specifically for me, or are you asking in context for what you do?
Oh well, how did you handle it?
How do I handle, I guess,
because you said you had something that you wanted to do with your YouTube channel, and then you kind of went like a comedy route to bring them back into the uncomfortable topics.
Yeah. So what's funny about that is I wasn't really actively thinking, oh, I want to do this talking thing, but I'm gonna do comedy videos first, and then that'll bring people in. You know, I was literally just having fun.
Right.
I did not expect to gain a platform through Vine at all. It just happened because I was just enjoying what I was doing. And I think that in this evangelical Christian mindset in America, I think that we miss sight a lot of the times of the fact that God wants us to enjoy our lives and have fun just being and doing. So that answers that part of your question. But for me, just actively thinking about how to strike common ground with people, part of it is just trying be the best I can at what I do. If I know I'm aware that I'm a pretty funny person, so I just try to make funny videos without compromising my personal standards and convictions, or that's what the gospel says, and just trusting that the Holy Spirit in me is going to shine through and allow people to see, whether they realize or not, something's different about him. Like, really trusting God with that. If you make music, being the best you can at making music. If you make art, doing the best you can at that. If you're a lawyer, being the best lawyer you can, just excellence.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Awesome.
All right, JJ, you're next, and then Robert, I got you after. Go ahead, JJ.
What's poppin', Chaz?
What up,
Love
what
the
up?
content.
Thank you, man.
So one question is actually for both you and Ruslan. I've noticed that there's a pattern with a lot of people that reach a certain level of success after a long time of doing something, which is reinvention. Maybe one idea doesn't work, or maybe multiple ideas don't work before you get to one or another set of ideas that do work for you. And I don't know if there's any specific examples that you guys have of times where you've had to look at yourself in the mirror and say, well, maybe this isn't as dope as I thought that it was. And then you've had to tell yourself, like, it's okay, like, we can go to the next idea. What are those examples that you guys have of times where you've had to look at yourself in the mirror? And what would you tell someone that is in that position of having to reinvent themselves and look at themselves in the mirror and say, it's fine that this didn't work. We got to keep going.
It's a great question.
Yeah, you want to go first?
That's a great question.
I have an example. I've been talking.
That's a good question. So, JJ, because I've never allowed myself to be defined by any one thing, it hasn't been that difficult to go on to the next thing, right? So I'm not intimidated to start doing something and then try something else, right? So when I feel like the music isn't as successful as I want it to be, that doesn't frustrate me, because I have a YouTube channel. I got a different way I can help people, right? If that isn't growing as fast as I want it to grow, I got a whole bunch of other stuff I can learn how to do, like maybe make more music, or make more music videos, or get better at making music, or learn Facebook advertising and marketing so I can sell merchandise, right? Having multiple things that you're proficient at gives you options, in my opinion. So I've done it, multiple times. And I think what's interesting, in my opinion, is on an independent level, as a YouTuber, as a creator of any kind, when you're not partnered or with some huge brand, or signed to a major label, is you have you have documentation and honesty on your side. So you can literally document your journey in real time, and instead of attempting to be some type of like guru, it's just more like, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is what's worked for me. Maybe this can work for you. Try these things, and this is where I'm at, right? And so that's kind of what's been helpful for me, bro, is like I pivot multiple times, and some would say, oh, you do too many things, you're a jack of all trades. But financially, I'm way better off than 90% of other rappers with the same size platform. You know what I mean? Like, and so like, I don't care being viewed like, oh, this fool's trying to be a YouTuber. Oh, this fool's like, I don't care because I can provide for my family and I know what my pockets look like. And ultimately, that's my first call, is to be a provider and a protector of my home, right? So that's what that's how I'm gauging success. And so it's not necessarily about accolades or Instagram followers, because I know once those things scale, I'll be in a way more comfortable place. And so, yeah, so I'm just always willing to pivot and try things and not be afraid to sell different merchant. Like we just shot photos the day before yesterday, and it was for old merch ideas that I revamped. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff that like came out in 2016, I revamped it, and I'm trying new stuff with old ideas. I do that kind of stuff all the time, and it's honestly liberating and freeing. So that'll be my answer. I don't know, what do you got, Chaz?
So I want to ask you, does this question pertain to something that's going on in your life personally right now?
Slightly. So actually, it's because I've had to reinvent myself so many times before I got to something that happened recently, which I dropped a song called Anime and Ramen, and I kind of just did it to see what would happen, because it was the first song that I had mixed entirely by myself. And I did a lot of things that I normally don't do, which are singing, rapping about things that were personal in my life, and talking about anime, which is something that I've always been passionate about. Yeah. But I was scared to talk about it because as a Christian rapper, I've always been told things like, oh, well, anime, you know, there's these kinds of messages, and I don't know if it correlates to Christianity and yada, yada, yada. But I still went with my gut. And right now, after about 2 months, it's sitting at 30K on YouTube and 20K on Spotify. Mm-hmm. And looking back at my journey, I'm like, bro, there's been so many times where I've had to reinvent myself and like look at ideas that I loved and was attached to, and had to say, it's fine that this didn't work, but there's always another idea. Yeah. But not everybody has that, what's the word I'm looking for? That courage to look at themselves in the mirror and say, it's fine that this didn't work. Oh, yeah. It's fine, love it, but not everybody else loves it. There's always another idea. So maybe hearing a testimony from both you guys that have a way bigger platform than I do could be more encouraging than someone like me who just struggled on one idea and still has more ideas to go. Yeah. Okay. So I think a good example for me would be to say, for the past year plus, I just haven't had the desire to make skits and funny videos like I have in the past. One of the videos I made last week talking about just carrying burdens, I'd put a skit at the front of it because I felt like it would be a good way to express the analogy. Even with that, I wasn't like so hyped about it, but the last time I made a skit before that was in 2017. At least the last time I released one. There are other ideas I had, I just was not feeling. There was one I tried to shoot, edited it together, I was like, this is trash. And with all that, I think I'm in the process right now of kind of reinventing my content creation, like moving away from just doing comedy skits and stuff like that, which something that I've been known for, which people expect, hey, you pronounced my name wrong, like stuff like that, you know? Starting to move a little bit away from that into things that I just have wanted to do for a while, like streaming Pokemon on Twitch. That's not anime, but I love anime too, like My Hero, that's my joint. But streaming Pokemon on Twitch, making music, and still bringing comedy into it, having fun with that, and then also starting a podcast, launching a podcast next month, just doing. So it ties back to what I was saying before. If it's on your heart, and you've been just with God, just spending time with Him, acknowledging Him, then you can trust that what's on your heart you can just do. Don't feel any type of way about the results. Like my engagement's gone down like crazy over the past year, but I feel so much better because I'm not trying to, do what other people want me to do. I'm doing what I'm enjoying.
Can I just add one caveat to that?
Yeah.
The willingness to put in the time around doing what's on your heart, right? Like, again, I feel like so many of us are held back because, I want to have a successful t-shirt, but am I willing to put in the time to learn Facebook advertising and spend my face in the dirt learning, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think that's the part where Chaz is a very unique guy. Like, Chaz is he's like a guy that's just good at everything. You know what I'm saying?
Keep going.
Like this dude's great at basketball. Like he freaking dresses cool. He can rap. He can sing. He can make funny videos. He can shoot and edit music videos. He can shoot and edit film. So you guys got photos. Like he could really do a lot. So I think even when you're saying that, a lot of people don't have all the skill sets that you and me may have. Where it can be like, yeah, man, just go design a T-shirt and sell it, and yeah, it'd be great. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, they don't even know how to use Photoshop. They don't even know how to use Premiere. They don't know how to do these other things. So I think there is a value in just being like, hey, be willing to have your face in the dirt and grind it out and figure out new skills that are just gonna take time, right? You went to school for
film production.
Yeah. So like he went to school for film production. So it's gonna be different for him to say, man, I got this idea to make a film and literally be able to go and execute it, right? Yeah. And you have a musical background, and you know, anyway. So that would be just the only caveat is I think a lot of people are still in that infancy stage. Yeah. But I will say the more mentally you guys get over being intimidated to learn new stuff, the better it's gonna go. Like me and Chaz were working on music today, and we literally spent an hour and a half just trying to
find the right
key that he can rap and sing in that sounds the best. So we're doing searches on like popular Drake songs and what key are those in, and then changing the sample 20. I mean, we tried like 6 different keys, and then we finally found it. And we didn't even really finish anything, but it was the willingness to learn something and to learn his voice and to learn how songs. You know what I mean? And I think in that, it's still a learning process, but we weren't intimidated by it. We weren't scared. We weren't like, oh, what music theory, dude? What is that crap? Like, we were like, nah, bro, like, let's figure this out, you know? And we figured it out, and it was super dope, because once it clicked, it was like, whoa, this is it, right? And so I think that goes for everybody, man. So that's a really good question. Let me bring in Robert, and then, and I don't know if Johan got another one. We got to wrap up, though, because Chaz got to leave. Robert.
I'm enjoying this. It's worth it, man.
Okay. Robert, you're live, buddy.
Hey, my question is, how do you balance mental health and influencing?
Ooh,
good question.
That's a great question.
Hey, dog, it's the same thing I've been saying. Really just abiding in Christ. Like, I'm going to say that over and over again because it's just so true. I went from having one of the worst weeks of my year to subsequently having the best week of my year because of the time that I spent in prayer. Like, that's it, really. And we can only, like, we're able to pour out. I'm able to pour out only when I'm really only able to pour out at my best when I'm filled up. And I can't be filled up if I'm distracted all the time.
Come on.
And overthinking about stuff and allowing just worries and problems to sit on my mind all the time. I gotta recognize, like, okay, is this problem solvable? Yes. All right, then what can I do about it? All right, cool, let me do it. Is this problem solvable, or is this something that's just weighing my mind down? No? All right, let me bring it to God in prayer. I'll bring both things to God in prayer anyway, but really just, again, about the burdens and just this weight, like.
So good.
Come to me all who are weary and heavy laden, take my yoke upon you, it's easy, burden's light. Like, the things that I get stressed out about at times or start to worry about, when I really feel like it's taxing me, I was just like, yo, Jesus, I cannot deal with this. Please help me. I'm struggling right now, you know? So my mental health is really about, I'll say I'm the least mentally healthy when I am worried about just insignificant stuff, really. And when I'm feeling healthy, then it just flows and it's almost effortless. Like, it just flows from a place of joy. Matter of fact, at the end of John 15, when Jesus talking about abiding, he said, I say these things to you so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. Like, it's about, like, joy is the result of abiding, just constantly, you know? Even if you're feeling a little emotionally off, you can still have that inner joy, like, oh man, you're with me right now. I'm with you, you know? So and of course there's cases of mental health where it may be more severe, but I do not believe that there is any mental health issue that cannot be dealt with on a spiritual basis. For real. I think that's people will want to debate with that. But I think at the root of everything, there's a spiritual aspect to it, for real. I'm not saying it's like some things may be more difficult.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we say mitigated?
Right.
Mitigated, because there's certain people that have chemical things going on, and maybe some were diagnosed, but there are definitely people that have chemical things going on.
I'd even say those are connected though.
What do you mean?
Honestly, like there are just spiritually, I think there are things that can happen. And this is, I feel like it's getting more off into a tangent, but I believe that there are spiritual origins that can affect us mentally and physiologically and chemically. I'm not saying that like you could just immediately pray everything away. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I agree with you 95% of the time.
Okay.
And then there's that 5% where like I just don't know what it's like to be in someone else's body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And whether it was trauma or a chemical imbalance or a combination or spiritual trauma, physical, you know what I mean? You just don't know what it's like to be in somebody else's body. But I feel you. Like I feel you, and I feel like I will agree that I think the majority of people, especially in hip hop, running around talking about they're depressed. It's just like they're literally clout chasing, talking about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And I think that is more of a spiritual. There's something off in your heart, and so I think that's key.
I can speak personally for myself, but
I was just gonna say, for me, like just recently, Robert, like I had to delete Facebook off my phone. You know what I mean? And like. Just delete it, because it's just like, this is just not healthy. You know what I mean? I told my Bible study, we have a Bible study I go to Wednesday, and there's a Slack group. And I literally like turned off the notifications because the Bible discussions were so combative. And then they started trying to talk about Bible and social issues, and I was just like, this is the worst possible way to communicate about social issues. And I literally went off on the whole Bible study, and then was like, I'm not gonna be a part. Like if I got to be a part of this Slack group, I don't want anything to do with this. You know? And so. In that, like, I had to pull back from a healthy Bible. Like, this is great, a Bible. No, it was not healthy for me. And so I think having boundaries is key, man. Knowing yourself, because so many of us lack discipline and lack boundaries to the extent of what am I going to even say to my spouse? Not everything I think I need to say, even to my spouse. Not everything I feel I need to say. Like, we have to have boundaries and restraint. Because our hearts are deceptive and our hearts are wicked, according to Scripture. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that the stuff that's in my heart isn't even true a lot of the times. You know, so practicing that restraint. There's certain words I won't say. There's certain language I won't use. I'm not talking some profanity. I'm just saying words, right? So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's cool. Forgive me for speaking objectively on that. First of all, I'll speak personally from my perspective. So, how do I balance my mental health with continuing to just output creatively? I'll say that between like the week that George Floyd was killed and the next week, there was a radical difference, because one major part of it for me was just believing who God really says I am. I found that the source of a lot of my mental problems, the depression I was feeling, the emotional burdens and weight that I was feeling, is what I was allowing to rest on my mind, and like things that were knocking on the door and that I just let in and just chill on the couch. And it got to a point where I was like, no, I got to kick these things out. What am I going to keep in the mental space of like in my own mental space? A lot of that was dealt with spiritually in prayer, like just affirming myself with God's word, like knowing I'm your son, I'm chosen, I'm holy, I'm righteous, I'm free of this. You're in control.
These are verbal affirmations.
Yeah, God, you're in control of all this. You are a God of justice. You're gonna deal with the wicked. Like all these things. That was how I dealt with it, and just realizing I'm bold. I have the freedom to move forward in these things I want to do. You've given me everything I need to be successful, to glorify you, all that. That was how I worked through that particular instance. On a day-to-day, it's really just recognizing, God, I need you, and not only that, but you want me as well. You want me to spend time with you. Ruslan wants his son Levi to spend time with him. Like, that brings him joy. Us spending time with God brings him joy.
Come on.
Realizing these things. For me personally, those are the ways that I have, and how I consistently deal with my mental health. And when I'm feeling healthy spiritually, that I'm able to output creatively.
That's good. All right, Nico, you are up, my G.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Chaz, thanks for hopping on this, man. I've learned a lot from you. So
thank you, man.
Just want to ask something real quick. So both of you have pivoted from not only career-wise, having certain goals, and I think like just creative outlets for yourselves, but also just even in terms of social media platforms. feel like I'm a perfectionist and I have to like use like social media perfectly. So I get overwhelmed with everything that there is out there, from TikTok to Instagram, all that stuff. My wife and I just made a TikTok like last week, and I'm like, I have to do this as an indie artist to like promote my stuff, right?
Yeah.
But my question for you both is, what do you recommend in terms of choosing and sticking? Would you recommend choosing and sticking to a platform, or should creators attempt to be like on multiple platforms and put equal attention to them?
Ooh, that's a good question.
What you think?
I think if you can be everywhere, be everywhere. If you can be omnipresent, be omnipresent. Because I'm full-time, am everywhere. But that's because it's my livelihood, right? If you're in a spot where you can't, and you're just still learning your craft, meaning that it's not like you haven't had a ton of success, and you don't have a ton of time, find one and kill it. Find one and crush it. Again, TikTok. That is a huge discovery tool, and I know multiple people with millions of followers on TikTok, right? Like multiple people. Like I found out my buddy's niece was like TikTok famous. She had like 2 million followers. She's 15. You know what I'm saying? And so the conversations change when you have 2 million
you gotta
followers.
wear like booty shorts and start doing the renegade. And all that. Like that's the only way.
Yo,
I
but
tell my boy all the time.
So for me, I have to be on TikTok. Like I have to be on TikTok. I need to be active everywhere, but that's because I'm full time and it's directly connected to my livelihood. And I'm not always on everything all the time. There are times where I won't be on Instagram a whole lot, right? I'll pull back. And there are times where I delete the apps from my phone where I don't need to be there, right? But I think if you can, then you should. If you cannot, because you're busy, because you have a family, because you got this, you got that, don't underestimate batch shooting. You can do that in everything now. So like, I can start my day and knock out 10 TikTok videos for the week and do that on Monday, right? And then on Tuesday, focus on something else. So and Zach Sparazzo actually does a great job talking about batch shooting. Batch shooting is really good. It's huge in the YouTube space, right? A lot of you guys do the batch shooting, you pump out a bunch of videos in one setting. Yeah. Podcasters do that too. So don't underestimate batch shooting. And there's a way I feel like everybody can find a system to be as presently active. But it's time is limited, man. So do what you can. I'm in a spot where like I'm going to be everywhere. I don't know about you, Chaz.
I want to speak to the perfectionism aspect of it because I fall into that category as well. And I'm learning to care less about everything being perfect. I'd say one of my friends who's really helped me, I don't even think he's aware, but being able to see my friend, I don't know if you know who Montel Fish is. This dude just creates every day, just naturally. It's not like, all right, I gotta get up and make this, I gotta post this on Instagram. It's just like, what's on my heart today? All right, I'll do that. Let me just start, or he'll just like kind of almost mindlessly, not really mindlessly, but like just start making a beat. All right, cool. If he likes it, he'll keep working on it. If he doesn't, do something else. Whatever's on, he'll start writing something. He just creates and puts it out. And people love that because it's so raw and honest and real. The performance in his stuff is just like not present at all. He's not there to perform. He's there to just create. Yep. And whatever he puts out, he knows somebody will be blessed by it. Like he's like the opposite of a perfectionist. And I love it. I love that so much about him, and that's taught me so much just watching him, being around him. So if you're not following him already, I highly recommend everybody watching this.
And he's just good too.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Montel is just good though.
But part of that is because he's
so fearless,
and he's not overthinking stuff. He just creates because it's just a joy for him. He's like, God, thank you. All right, let's get to it, and you're with me in it.
That's good.
That's my answer.
Good. Yeah, that's good. All right, Damien, we're gonna bring you in, bro, and then I think
this man's teeth are like Tic Tacs, by the way. That's crazy.
Who's that?
Them joints perfect.
Oh,
Nico.
Nico got a good smile, man. Yo, Damien, you're live, bro.
Hey, what's up, man? How you guys doing?
Doing good, bro.
What's poppin'?
So especially my question was about Montel. I was asking about like the creative process and like how did you guys meet and stuff like that, and like the creative process and like how do you guys like, I guess you create music, but you guys kind of already went on that, on the tangent on that, how you guys make music.
Oh, how we make music? Oh, I guess you could go more into that. I'm just getting started with this, dude. I barely know what I'm doing. But Ruslan can talk about
the most amount of music I'm going to make is when I do it in the way you just described. When it's repetition, and specifically repetition with the intent to release, is when I'm actually the most creative. When it's, I'm going to do this because this is who I am, and I'm going to do this with the intent of sharing, right? And when it's that, then that's when you actually grow and get better if you are at a certain quality level, right? Some people are not at that quality level. So for me, that's when I start overthinking it, or when I start getting in my own head, then I'll just go weeks without releasing stuff, or months, or it's been years sometimes, because I'll slide into that like perfectionist thing. That's why for me YouTube is such a fun outlet, because literally with YouTube is like better is done and released than perfect and in my head. You know what I mean? And I think a basic tip that I try to apply is when you have an idea, go do it right when you get the idea.
That's helped me so much. That right there.
I had so many cases where I was in the shower and I have an idea, and then when I get out I forget. So like I can't just like run out the shower and be like, oh. You know what I mean?
Voice notes, yo. Voice notes.
Or just when I get ideas in the shower, I'll say them. I'll literally like condense the idea into one word. It might be multiple ideas. It'll be like, I don't know, a skit about me dressing up in a banana costume and slipping on the floor in the supermarket, or something stupid like that, right? And I'll give myself just a one word to remember, banana, or banana costume, like a phrase. And then there'll be another idea. Okay, I'll be like banana costume, this, that, like it. But yeah, the thing about just all my most popular videos that I've ever had have been ideas that I got, and I was just like, oh, this will be cool, let me just do it. Didn't think twice about it, made it, put it out, wasn't worried about it being perfect, and they just did really well. Like that's.
Now how do you gauge the content that you push? Do you like say, you know what, I'm just gonna put like a buttload, today's Tuesday, I'm about to drop 4 videos on Tuesday, or you'd be like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna do it strategically, Monday I'm gonna drop this video, then I'm gonna put these certain hashtags. Then Thursday, I'm gonna drop this video.
Yeah.
So how do you gauge it? And release your content?
I'm only now starting to have a schedule for content, just because I just feel like I'm pivoting differently creatively. But over the past 7 years, it's always just been like, all right, let me just post this. And the most I do is like, all right, it might not be a good idea to post 2 videos back to back because they might cannibalize each other. Let me just sit on this for a couple days. Most of the time, it's like, when I finish the video, I'm putting it out. Either if it's like late at night, I'll put it out the next afternoon, or if it's like that day, I'll put it out that day. It's not really.
When you first started, how did you attract your audience, like to get your following? Now?
Oh, LOL. That was before Vine even had the Rewind function. I would literally be in like Eric Dunn's, if you even know who that is, Eric Dunn and like some other dudes that blocked me on their pages, commenting like, "Hey, I just made a Vine about blah 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 blah," and but then I posted one Vine. And it took off because the Rewind feature became a thing. It was the watermelon inside watermelon Vine, if you've seen it. But yeah, that one was like.
That's great.
That was the one.
Can I just add just one thing? I think the thing that many of us overlook is the idea of congruence, meaning that if you're truly congruent with what you're creating, people will be able to tell, and it'll actually expand. You know what I mean? Now, it may not grow as fast as you want, but if you're congruent, meaning that like. Everything I say on this channel, I manifest these values and principles, right? Everything Chaz says, he manifests these things. So when you are congruent with what you want to output, it will attract your tribe. You can't control how big your tribe is going to be, but it will attract your tribe. And I think many of us aren't congruent, and so we're really capping when we're trying to do content. You know what I mean? Like we're really faking the funk, and it's forced, and it's not natural. And
well, if you think about it, you put your best face in front of your audience, people will see where you are. So you just to attract people. Like when you meet somebody, are you going to show your who you really are? No, you're going to show your best. Hey, how are you? You know. So isn't that kind of
don't do that. Don't do that. The people that are growing rapidly aren't perfect, and that is one of the things is that people can tell that they're being authentic. Yeah. All right, yo, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us, man. This was really a blessing. We appreciate you guys. Yo, give this video a thumbs up, share it. Hopefully it was encouraging and edifying. Thank you guys to the Patreon Zoom community. We are doing Fan Love Friday tomorrow. It's going to be super lit. So submit something. That post is about to go up tonight. And yeah, man, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us.